Hello, everyone. This is Nick with Inflatable Office. In this session, we're going to be talking about items, accessories, and packages, and how we can use some advanced accessory options to do some different things with our inventories, like add-ons, bundles, multi-piece items, and some just different customizable offerings. So I want to start this by looking at a couple of things that you'll see when you're adding inventory items. To start, we're here in settings and inventory. This is where we'll be spending most of this session here. Go to add inventory, and a couple things that I want to pay attention to on this inventory page as you're adding items is the category that you can add items to, and just the option that you have to add things to a hidden category. And any category that you create that has the word hidden in it is going to behave like this, where our system's going to know to exclude it from the featured products widget. So it's just going to not display those items on your website there. And it's not going to be on your quote form as well. So that gives us the ability to put some things on into our inventory that we don't want to advertise to the customers necessarily, but we need to have available to do these different things with our inventory. And then once you save your inventory items, something you would know if you've created your inventory, you'll see this accessories section here where you can basically just attach items to your inventory items. And you can attach both other inventory items here as accessories or items that you are actually creating as accessories. So the main benefit of creating accessory items is that, one, they're not going to appear on your website like hidden items. Accessories are things that aren't meant to stand alone as rental items. They're going to be added to other rental items to accessorize those, if you will. So yes, they're not going to appear on your website, but they're also not going to count against your inventory limits, which is a benefit for users that are mindful of those inventory limits and what they need to stay beneath there. So accessories do not count against that limit. That said, they aren't going to appear on your website, so there's certain limitations to what you can do with accessories and advertising those, and they can't stand alone as rentals on your website. So they're meant to behave to accessorize other items. And again, we're going to use inventory items as accessories too. So we'll go through some different examples of cases where you would use accessories to build these creative options and how you can use those options to configure it correctly. Note that if you already have items created that you have the ability to convert those to accessories, maybe they're better served as accessories and you don't want those to count against your limit, you can convert items straight to accessories just by clicking the box next to those. And instead of delete, we're going to hit this little drop down arrow next to that and choose convert to accessory. And what that'll do is just change where that is being stored now as an accessory now as instead of in a category on our website. If we're just adding an accessory item rather than using the add inventory button, we'll use this little drop down arrow next to the add inventory and choose add accessory instead. You'll notice you don't have to put a category page in here because again, it's not going to be on your website. And this accessory section with accessories is a little bit different because you can't attach accessories to accessories. They're not meant to be used in that way. I also want to take a look down here at the advanced options. This is going to be present for all inventory items, both regular items and your accessory items. But this is just determining on what pages this item is going to be visible. The quote form, this basically just means your website. So even if it's in a hidden category, you might need some accessories to be, some items rather, to be viewable on the quote form, even if a customer might not be shopping for those items per se. We'll get into an example of that later, but you can see the different options. Maybe you don't want your accessories to appear visible to your customers on contracts or on their quote confirm page. You can configure that from the advanced settings here. Let's start looking at some examples of when you would use accessories and how we configure these options, starting with some simple examples of accessory options that we'll provide to our customers, or in this case, a required accessory. So this propane heater, when we rent this, we're going to require our customers to also rent a propane tank to make it usable. So when we go to the accessories here, I'll just start from the beginning and how we would do this. We're just going to type in the name of the item that we want to attach as an accessory, the propane tank. We'll select that. And for this item, we're just going to require them to have one. Not using any of these other options yet. Make sure that we add the item before we save. So we only need one of these options for this, just this one required field. What this is going to do is when I add a propane heater to my shopping cart on my website, it's just going to attach that propane tank right underneath of it. The customer will see that here because we're not hiding the accessory. So they're just going to see propane heater, subline right underneath that, propane tank. Our next simple example, let's consider something like a snow cone machine that we would rent out both by itself, and also we provide syrup flavors with this that are optional to the customer. So they don't have to rent our syrups if they don't want to. Maybe they can purchase their own, but we have these available as accessories. This is very simple. It doesn't require anything here, so we're going to leave that blank. There's no limit. They can get as little or as much as they want to here. We don't have to override the prices. They're going to pay for those if they purchase these. And we don't want to hide the accessories. So this is just a very simple example of providing accessories as options to the customer. Look now at what is probably one of the most common cases of use of accessories, and that would be bounce houses and banners. So I have this themed bounce house that I have a couple of banners available for. And I have chosen to display my banners as if they were separate rental units. And what this means is that instead of on the website, the themed bounce house being listed as the item, I instead have these two items being listed as if they were the things that I were rented. Now, of course, we're not probably advertising those as just a banner. We're advertising them as the bounce house with the banner. So this is going to be maybe the happy birthday bounce house, and this being the festival bounce house, where this themed bounce house isn't really an item that they know exists necessarily. That's not what they would call it. It's just the item that is behind the item that they are renting, their happy birthday bounce house or their festival banner. So when I go to my bounce house category. Well, I already have this open up here. You see that I don't have the themed bounce house listed here, but instead these two items are appearing like they're the items. Bad example because the picture is the same for each of these. You would have a different picture for those accessories to make them appear like different items on your website though. Of course, you don't have to rent those as, you don't have to display those as separate rental units. If you wanted to, you could just uncheck that and show those as options to the customers as banners to add on to the bounce house. But you are going to have, we're going to start to use this accessory limit here. We're going to have an accessory limit of 1 because, of course, you can't have multiple banners on a bounce house. Nothing's going to be required, though. They could theoretically rent this bounce house without the banners. And we're not going to override the price because we are going to charge extra for these banners. And we're not going to hide the accessories because, of course, we want them to see what they are getting here too. Okay, we're going to start implementing some simple packages using accessories now too. This one's called the small party package. And here you see this package is made up of 1 big table and 6 chairs. So this is the item that they're purchasing, the small party package, or this is the item that would be shopped for on our website here. But when they select this item, just automatically they're getting 1 table and 6 chairs. The reason being because this is required here, 1 table and 6 chairs. Thinking the quantity, in the case that they were to get multiple small party packages, let's say they entered a 4 for small party package, the link quantity is going to increase the items, the accessory items along with the item that they're rented. so that this is going to be multiplied along that number. We don't want them to get more small party packages and remain at only having 6 chairs and 1 table here. So linking that quantity continues to increase the accessories. And the step that we're taking on this package here is we're going to use this override price feature. The reason being because I am going to have a price of $100. That's probably a little steep here, but we're going to have that price set up on the small party package. So we don't want to be charging them for tables and chairs in addition. The price is inclusive in the package. So by overriding the price, it's not going to add on the price of the tables and the chairs in their cart there. Another common way that users are using accessories is with linens, and there's a lot of ways that we've seen this done, a lot of creative ways, so we're not going to show you every single way, just the way that's probably the easiest to go about doing it and seems to work the simplest. So first, you're starting with your main item being the type of linen that you're renting, and you might have some subcategories split this up too. Perhaps you have a linen category, then you have that subcategorized by chair covers, tablecloths, and so forth. However you have that initially set up here, we're going to say that the main item here is like a rectangular tablecloth, or perhaps it is just a chair cover. And we're starting with that as like the umbrella item here. Now, here's a case where maybe we don't want to show the rectangular tablecloth in the contract or in the quote confirm, as it's not really the item that the customer sees themselves as renting. We'll go a little bit further and show you what we mean by that, but consider this a case where maybe you're not showing these items in the quote in the contract page. The accessories that we have designated to the rectangular tablecloth then are going to be the sizes of the rectangular tablecloths that we have available. And these are set up as inventory items as well. I say items and not accessories, so they're like main items. And if we go another layer here to our 90 by 132 polyester, for example, which would be under the rectangular tablecloths, here we're going to have actual accessories plugged into the 90 by 132 polyester. So these are the colors that we would have available here. And again, this can be set up as accessory options, so you can be mindful of your inventory limits there. They're not going to be something that you need to set up as regular items because they're not going to be displayed themselves on the website. Customers are going to be going to the main item to be able to find these other items, but these items are what's going to be showing up on the quote and contract as what appears to be rented by the customer then. Okay, we're going to take a look at our most advanced example yet. This is a package that gives customers choices to choose between options within categories, if you will. And this package is going to be a slide bounce package, so they're going to get a choice of any one of our slides and a choice of any one of our bounce houses. This is the main item that they would be shopping for here on the website. So this is what the pricing is going to be attached to. I don't have that. We'll call this one $800 though. Okay, we must have messed with this somewhere along the way, but we're going to fix it while we're going through here. And I have a couple of items set up already, one of them being choose bounce house. And the other choose slide that we're going to plug into this package. And you'll see already I'm requiring one for each of these. And what that's doing is essentially making the customer make a choice in that category. It's requiring one item from this choose bounce house category and requiring one item from this choose slide category. We don't need to have a limit here. We don't need it to be a drop down. Do not need that. We will override the price, even though I don't have a price set up on these. Again, the main price is going to be with this package item, so we'll override everything going forward here. Okay, and we got those plugged in. Now let's show you what's going on with these secondary items, and these are set up as actual inventory items. And I think this is the part that you've got to grasp first to know how to set these up, is that these obviously aren't actual items, but we're manipulating them in a way that allows them to be attached to our package. So we do have to set them up as items so that we can attach other items or accessories to it. Attached to this choose bounce house item is our actual bounce houses. These could theoretically be set up as accessories, but I have my bounce houses also available as rental units. So these are just inventory items that I've attached to choose bounce house. We are going to list them as a drop down because they're making a choice here, and we're going to set an accessory limit of 1 so that they're only choosing 1. So again, just going back there, the required is for the choose. So we're requiring the choice is the way to think about it, but then we're limiting the choice here. So nothing required here. It is a limit though. Override the price would be a good idea because we don't want to charge them again for the themed bounce house or this chocolate bounce house. And as you can imagine, same deal's going on there with the slides. Now we're going to use that same principle then to insert a choose wet or dry option. So just as we did the choose slide or choose bounce house, with this bounce house, we're going to have an option where they can choose wet or dry. Again, it's going to be a required choice, no limit. And very simple here, we just have an accessory limit of 1, so they have to make a choice. List the options as a drop down, and the accessories that I've created is wet, which has a $25 price that we're adding to it, and dry. So that's how you can force them to make a selection on a wet or dry, rather than maybe having 2 separate rental items then. I wanted to show you how that package was going to behave on the website, but I ran into a problem that's going to be a good lesson for us here though. And that's the limitations of layering accessories. And again, this slide bounce package, we have the accessory set up where they have to choose the bounce house. So we'll call that 2 layers, 1 being the main item, 2 being choose bounce house. And this 3rd layer, choose bounce house. That should be where the layers end right there. We don't want to have beyond 3 layers of accessories. The reason is because where this accessory, the chocolate bounce house, should show up on the package, we still have this choose wet or dry accessory attached to this item. So we're going to a 4th layer and beyond now. And let's just kind of illustrate what kind of problems that causes. So I wanted to show you here on slide bounce package is one that it's not going to let us add to the cart because we have the requirement of choosing a bounce house and a slide. But even after I choose these, you see that choose wet or dry is a required field. Well, that's because that's set up as accessory here on this item, but there's nowhere I can make that choice here. It just kind of starts acting wonky. We have these other accessories that are available down here because they're tied to this themed bounce house, which should be up here. It's just not the way that it should be. The way that it should be is just these 2 bounce house options right here, just like these 2 slide options are. So the lesson to be learned in that, I guess, is that if we're going to be using items like a bounce house that has banners as a 3rd layer on a package, you might want to create like a duplicate of this item. So that would be one that does not have this accessory attached to it. And we could call this, like, maybe wouldn't call it anything different in particular, but just to designate it, we'd say for packages. And we want to make sure that this has a relationship to our actual item. Well, it's not going to be there yet because we haven't saved this copy. And by adding a parent-child relationship here, the system's just going to track those as one items and know it's the same thing. Basically, we have this chocolate bounce house rented out on its own, that we're not going to have this one that's 4 packages available for the package. So just consider that you can only have 3 layers of accessories. When I think we've looked about just about every way that the advanced accessory options can be used to make your inventory items. We're just looking at one final example here. It's our cotton candy party, where they get 3 flavors for this party. So they're going to require 3 choices here. And if I hopped over to my choose 3 flavors, I have an accessory limit of 3 that matches that requirement. So they can only get 3 flavors for free. They wouldn't be able to get more than that. They also have the ability to get some additional flavors, but this price would still be applicable because it doesn't come with the package there. So that's all the ways that you can use, well, it's not all the ways, it's all of the accessory options and how you can configure those accessories in your items, but there's a lot of things you can see that you can do just by attaching items together and using these accessories in some creative ways. I hope that was helpful.